When your rear wheel no longer sits straight and you hear a bunch of creaky sounds coming from the bike, you debate, is it time for a new bike? This happened to me in late spring as the summer heat rolled into the valley. I started to do some research and found a good base bike that I could build from to make it my own. However, getting the bike was a problem due to short supply, so I made a decision to go ahead and fix the bike. This led to a new handlebar and stem. I also decided to get a dropper post, which became an ordeal in itself. Finally, I had to replace the old worn-out wheel set, making my latest purchase my third wheel set for this bike. Hopefully, it will be the last. The first upgrade I'd like to talk about is my handlebar and stem. I noticed continual creaky sounds coming from my handlebar. It was made of carbon, and my thought was to get some carbon paste to make sure there wasn't any slippage between the stem and the handlebar. After reinstalling the carbon bar, the sound persisted. I thought it may be the bar, so I borrowed my aluminum bar from my hardtail, but soon discovered the creak was still there. Okay, it must be the stem, right? So I purchased a new stem, not realizing I ordered the wrong size. So basically, I picked up this Race Face Aeffect 35 stem for $34. It's 90 millimeters in length, matching my old stem. Since none of my handlebars could fit, I went ahead and ordered the matching handlebar for $47. It came in 780 millimeters, but I cut it down to 740. With the longer stem, I felt I didn't need such wide bars. There is plenty of room for my light mount and bell. Also, the stem is long enough to manage my quad lock phone mount. So far, I'm quite happy with the feel and the performance of the handlebar. I know carbon is better for vibration dampening, however, I can barely tell any difference between the aluminum and carbon. The carbon bars are lighter, but I'm not racing, and I've come to appreciate durability over weight. The timber bell for $25 has come in handy over the summer as trail use increased during the pandemic. It kinda sounds like a dinner bell. Well, a dinner bell for mountain lions. Luckily you can turn it off when no one is around. We'll see if the continual dinging will drive me bonkers.
Okay, just like that.
So just a quick note about the creaking noise. I eventually figured out that the stem was not causing the creak either. The problem was just some dirt between the stem and fork. Once I cleaned it up, I installed the old stem and carbon bar onto my hardtail, and it is quiet as a mouse. The next upgrade I want to talk about was not a replacement for a broken or worn out part. I purchased a carbon seat post back in January, and it worked great. However, most new bikes come with the dropper posts, and I figured I would get used to riding with one, especially when I start riding steeper and more technical trails. This is the Ridge dropper post from PNW Components. It's the lowest budget dropper, but they promise it's reliable. Since using a dropper is still new to me, I didn't want to spend too much. It only costs $130. It only comes in 125 millimeters, which is good fit for my bike and my short legs. I have been using it for a couple weeks, and so far no issues. There is a little back and forth play, but I don't notice it while I'm riding. I did spend some money on the lone lever, about $70. It is built well and works as good as it looks. I only have used the dropper on moderate downhills, and it takes some getting used to. What I really like is lowering it when I stop to take a break or at red lights when I ride to the trailhead. Once the weather cools, I'll be able to take it on some more challenging downhills. I did have a nice Bontrager carbon saddle, but I broke it when I crashed into a rattler crossing the trail. I went over the bars and the bike flipped over and the saddle must have hit a rock just right. Luckily I survived with just a couple bruised ribs and a road rash. Unfortunately the snake didn't make it. I picked up a nice Ergon Enduro saddle and it's actually much more comfortable than my old saddle. So just another note. Installing an internal dropper post was worse than watching a presidential debate. I couldn't get the cables around the bottom bracket, so I bought new tools to remove it. I really don't like press-fit bottom brackets. Once I got everything removed, I used a magnet cable lead set to run the cable housing through the frame. You can see the cable going through the bottom bracket space, but everything installed perfectly and I have not had any problems. The last upgrade I want to review is my wheel set. I actually purchased them in the spring because my rear wheel hub and quick release axle wouldn't sit straight in the rear triangle. My bike came in a weird configuration, through axle in the front and quick release in the rear. Finding a set online proved to be difficult, but I did find something. I ended up finding this 4-in-1 wheel set with Novatec hubs and WTB STP I-25 rims. It only cost $230, which was in my budget. This hub allows for either quick release or through axle. I easily popped off the ends of the quick release for the front wheel and popped on these 15mm through axle adapters. I did have some problems with my cassette after a couple of rides. Apparently the combination of my 1-up 47.2 sprocket on my 11-speed cassette caused some back and forth play, which made odd noises during downhills. I discovered the solution by studying my old Shimano Dior hub. I noticed a ridge at the base of the spline compared to the Novatec hub. I looked through the parts that came with the wheelset and found a sprocket adapter that fit on the spline. Without it, the 47.2 sprocket could move freely since it was not attached to the cassette. Once I installed the adapter, I didn't have any problems with the cassette. Note, there were no instructions with the wheelset, so I had to look up how to swap out the adapters. Maybe I'll make an instruction video and post it to the site. I'm used to quiet hubs from Shimano, but this hub has quite a few engagement points, which makes it a bit noisy. However, I'm getting used to the sound, and they have held up well over the summer months. So far they seem like a good deal, especially at this price point. I was lucky to get all these parts over the summer with all the shortages due to the pandemic. Although it is not a new bike, I kept everything in budget so I can continue to save my pennies for the next rig, and maybe avoid getting a base model. I feel the bike is well prepared for the upcoming non-summer riding season here in the desert. I can't wait to do some longer rides and really test out these new components. Thanks for watching, and hit like and subscribe if you enjoyed this content.